Title of this video is one of the most important questions that you can ask on the spiritual path or psycho-spiritual path in general, like self-help or trying to improve or actualize this human expression. And I actually made a video where I went into this very topic the other day, where it was called "The Need for Validation Runs Very Deep." But not everybody saw it, and I thought it required its own standalone video. And I just wanted to get it across to you guys before I run off to work this morning, because it's just so valuable in my experience. It's been one of the most important questions that just came at the right time. Maybe this will be the right time for you to hear it, and I encourage you to explore it with absolute earnest if it ignites anything in you and is the most important thing. Make it the most important thing. And the question is quite simple. Why am I even practicing spirituality in the first place? And I'll add to that another really powerful one. What do I think awakening will get me? What do I think awakening will get me? And why am I practicing spirituality in the first place? Because awakening's not going to get us anything that isn't already here right now. And I'm constantly humbled by that question. Whenever my mind goes into seeking mode, it's trying to find some solution to a problem as to why I'm suffering. I need to read something, learn something, do something more. But when that question is asked, I'm always implored to just explore what's happening in this immediate experience. The five senses: seeing, hearing, tasting. Always fuck this up. Seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, I think. And if I repeat myself, you know what I mean. The five senses, and we'll add thought as well. That's all that can be happening right now in this moment. So what is awakening going to get us beyond that point? And I'm not going to tell you the answer to that. I think you need to actually explore that within your own experience and not just have someone tell you this. It's like a Zen koan, right? A koan, you're meant to answer that question yourself. And the question doesn't have an answer in respects to a koan. But that question, I just want to give a little bit of story around that for me. How transformative it's been for me, because maybe your mind is hearing this right now, and if it's anything like mine, it's basically going to say something like, yeah, that's probably an important question, but I'm just going to keep practicing. I'm just going to go back to my Vipassana meditation. I'm going to go back to my self-inquiry. I'm going to go back to my self-help workshops. And we don't ever question this fundamental motive. Like, why the hell? Why am I doing this? And it is incredibly illuminating, and it has been for me, that actually, for me, a lot of what I was doing spiritual practice for, even years into the practice, meditating 2 hours a day, reading all the books, all the sutras, all the YouTube videos, all the non-duality videos, but I never really stopped to ask that question, which is amazing. It's amazing how the mind works around that. It's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I know it's probably going to move something. Like, I knew these sorts of questions were important to ask, but I never really actualized it and just sat down and took one day, just one simple day of this long journey that I'd been on. Like, what is one day in the grand scheme of things? Just if we really sit down and consider a question like this. What is one day? What's at risk if you just commit yourself to one day of inquiry into that question? Yeah, and what it illuminated for me, but don't superimpose this onto your experience. I encourage you to really ask this question is, I want to feel more ease if I ask the question, what do I want to get out? What will awakening get me? Or that isn't already in my experience. I just want to get the right insight to download and just feel more ease, or have this earth-shattering insight. But is that possible to have within this experience of 5 senses. And B, I just want to be validated by other people. I want other people to think that I have it together. And that took a lot of mining and inquiry. It was so squirmy to come to that answer. But like, if we don't be honest with ourselves, radically honest with ourselves, and meet ourselves exactly where we're at right now in this moment, what are we doing? We're bullshitting ourselves. And we're masquerading it with this spiritual identity of the spiritual seeker who's on this massive path who's like struggling and doing all these practices and just can't get it right, just needs one more thing, right? And so we go right back to practice. We go back to what we're familiar with. But I implore you to question that with as much earnest as if it's the most important jewel that you've come across in the whole world, and now you're finally giving it your full attention, and to see where it takes you. Journal it out. Take time to write in like a Notion document or an Evernote document, or just physically write it out, or a Word document, like however you journal. And I have no doubt if you've never explored those questions, they'll lead you to some very interesting places. And then you'll be like, finally like, oh, now I know what I'm doing this for. Holy hell, I just wanted to be liked, or I just wanted to do this to get status. So people would finally look at me and be like, damn, he's got it together, homie. Brother. Nothing wrong with that, but and not to like shame ourselves on whatever the answer is, but it is what it is. Like, let's get honest with ourselves. If our pursuit is authenticity and truth and eradication of suffering, stop beating around the bush, right? Anyway, maybe your mind won't take that, and maybe it will just continue to do its thing. But either way, it's your path, and yeah, I encourage you to look there. That's all, and I hope that helps. And, last little quick thing I want to add is that this is an ongoing question that I keep, these questions are ones that I keep coming back to. And in my experience, it gets subtler and subtler, and it actually shifts. So every so often in meditation, I'll actually bring those questions back up again. What am I doing this for? And what will awakening get me? And it always illuminates some sort of belief or binding or fixation point that I can feel. So yeah. Have a lovely day, guys. I'm off to work, and hope that helps.